welcome back to my channel, The Life of Bree, the SPT. So the second semester has started. It's fall. Right now it's actually Labor Day. So I didn't have class, but I spent a lot of time just like studying and reading and stuff like that. So welcome to another video, a new semester. So this video is going to be about the GRE. So for all my people who have some later deadlines that are still studying for their GRE, or those of you who are still in undergrad or they're taking their gap year and you're preparing to take the GRE, listen to your girl and you'll do well, okay? So of course I wrote things down. I have a few tips. I'm not going to tell you, this is not a tutorial video on how to work every single problem in a GRE, because sis, I took the GRE and I still don't know how to do that. But the goal is to do well enough to get you to where you need to go. Because the truth of the matter is, with the GRE, I don't want to go off into a tangent, but I just might. All it is a test to weed out people. This test does not determine if you are smart or not. This test will not determine how competent of a PT you will be. This test also does not determine how well you will do in grad school, PT school, or anything like that. This test is literally just to weed people out. They want you to have a basic enough comprehension skills of reading and math that you will be able to get through life. You will never see this stuff again, okay? Only thing you'll probably see is some of the words. You can use some of the vocabulary words that you learn. Go ahead and write them up into a nice little essay so you can sound smart and brilliant. But for the most part, this is not a true measure of who you are. So listen to Bree. You are smart. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are competent. This is just a test that you have to take. This is just a hurdle. You know, life is full of a lot of roadblocks, stumbling blocks, and you just have to get over it. That's life, okay? So let's go ahead and get into these tips. Take a practice test. You can find practice tests online. ETS, which is the official GRE website where you will sign up for your GRE. Take practice tests there. You can take them on Kaplan .org or .com, whatever the website is. Take it on Kaplan. You can take it on Magoosh. Just Google, because Google is your friend. Just Google free GRE tests. You can even take some in textbooks, not textbooks, the GRE prep books. So you don't have to go out and spend a whole heap of money to take a practice test. Easily you can find one on Google. This dog is barking. Dogs can get on my nerves sometimes. Like, shh. You can take them on Google, or you can go to a bookstore like Half Price Books and find like an old GRE book and go ahead and work some of them practice problems out. Honestly, the years go on, the material doesn't necessarily change. How they format it and how they go about asking questions may change, but for the most part, the material stays the same. So go ahead and take a GRE practice test and treat it like it's the real thing. Time yourself on each section. Actually give it your all. And then once you finish that, if you take it online, you will get a score that's generated to you, your raw score. And most of the time, they'll usually have something you can look at to break down what type of problems you missed, what was the content and the objectives. So I would say to print that out, write it down, do something like that so you can have areas of concentration that you need to work on. For some people, they may be low in the verbal and high in math. Some you may just be low across the board or whatever it is. And sometimes you may not even have a low score, but you just want to do better. So if you take the GRE practice test, you know how much studying you have to do, what areas you need to work on. You don't want to go into something blind and you just throwing paint on a wall and hoping that it sticks. So make sure you take the practice test GRE. The second thing is, when I said find areas that you need to work on, with that information, figure out what's best for you. If you are not a good self-studier, do not study for the GRE by yourself, okay? So when I say that, if you can find a GRE prep class, please find one, okay? Find one. You may have to cough up a little money, or you can possibly ask your school, ask organizations that are around your area or anything like that. You never know what's out there. For me, praises to God for looking out for your girl. I was able to take a GRE prep class at my university. And this only happened because I went to one of my professors' office, and I was talking to him about like my goals in life and things like that. The professor that I went to talk to, he is actually over the Mcnair Scholars. The Mcnair Scholars Program is an initiative to increase the number of Black and brown students that pursue master's and doctoral work. So really the ultimate goal is doctoral work. So they want to make sure that they get more people of color into these professional programs. So from talking to him, he was like, Bree, like, I got you, girl. And I was like, oh, you a real one. So I took that class. And I also, did some studying by myself. I'm a pretty good self-studier. So you can use your friends and family. So say for instance, you have a friend or a family who has taken the GRE or whatever it is, they can possibly help you study, share their tips and tricks with you. Another thing, YouTube, girl, YouTube, boys and girls, YouTube is free. There's a whole bunch of videos on how to work problems, how to go about the verbal section, all of that, the writing section. It's a lot of resources out there. And when you are studying for the GRE, you have to be the person who's like actively seeking how you're going to, perform well and do this. This is your future. This is all you. For GRE books, I use the Kaplan book. So the Kaplan GRE prep book. They have one for each year. If you decide to get one that's a year or 2 or 3 older, it really doesn't matter. Like I said, the content stays the same. It's just how they may word the questions, or they might make a section a little bit more smaller, or they might add more explanation. So I really did like the Kaplan book because it also went into detail about how to work each problem. And the best thing is that it showed shortcuts. The GRE is a time test. So you have 30 minutes for the verbal section to answer 20 questions. And you have 35 minutes, I believe, on the quantitative section to answer 20 questions. And it's not about how well you can work the problem, how much paper you can use to solve a problem. It's about getting to the answer quickly. And that Kaplan GRE prep book showed you how to get to the answer quickly. So I love that book. It was great. You learned a lot. There's also practice tests in the back. I loved it. And also divided things into smaller sections. So whether I wanted to do a section to practice for homework, or I just wanted to work a couple of problems, I could do that. So I personally recommend the Kaplan GRE prep book. And that's also the book that my GRE prep course used. Another big thing that I loved was the Magoosh GRE vocabulary words. So it's the app. So anybody who has a phone, you have an app store, Google phones, Android phones, Apple phones, just type in Magoosh GRE vocabulary flashcards, and download the app, and you'll see all these GRE words, and they're usually broken down into a section that says like beginner, intermediate, advanced, all that kind of stuff. And so while I was like on the bus or chilling, sitting on the toilet even, I would just pick up my phone and just scroll through the vocabulary words and just try to memorize them. Because certain things you just have to commit to memory. And for me also, what helps, I make foolish like hints and keywords and all type of ways to remember stuff. So I would just use that. Use of the flashcards that you go through it and memorize the words. What also help is writing them down. So I need to write things down to like process it in my brain. So with the words, once I mastered the words, I was trying to learn the words. I had a few words that were tricky and I couldn't remember them based on using my little tricks and stuff. I will write it down in a sentence. I will find sentences, find ways to incorporate into my daily vocabulary. One thing that I did a lot, so when I'm talking on the phone to my friends, I would bring up a GRE word. I would slip a GRE word into the conversation. If you can bring the material that you learn from class into your everyday life, you are learning. So do that. So GRE prep class, if you can find one. GRE prep book, Kaplan, which is the one I recommend. And also download the Magoosh GRE vocabulary flashcards. Another big thing I want to tell you guys is to motivate yourself. For me, no one in my family has ever taken the GRE. I'm the first person in my family to go off to grad school. I'm the first person in my family that will be receiving a professional degree. So I couldn't go to my family to say, like, I need help doing this. I need somebody to teach me how to do this. I literally had to say, hey, Bree, this is what I want to do. So you need to take the initiative. If you can show other people that you are serious, trust me, there's always going to be someone that's looking out for you, and that will be willing to help. You have to take the initiative and be a self-learner, because this is pretty much how grad school is going to be. Yes, you're going to have very competent professors, teachers, instructors that will teach you. However, you have to motivate yourself. So you might as well start now. You have to take the initiative to learn outside the classroom. Learning does not only happen in the classroom. So when I say motivate yourself, I want you guys to take the initiative to study outside of your prep class. Take the time to study during summer vacation. Take the time to study on the weekends. I would recommend you study for about 2 hours a day. I had my GRE prep class, which was 2 hours, but I also went home and studied a little bit, things that were unclear to me in class. But even if I didn't have my prep class, because I didn't go every single day, I think it was like 3 or 4 days a week, I would, on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday, I would spend 2 hours studying. But if you cannot commit 2 hours, which I say you should find, because this is your future, you're taking the GRE to get you to a new height. However, if you cannot do that, I would say at least 1 hour. So you can do 1 hour by studying one section a day. And by one section a day, I mean this. The verbal section is 30 minutes. So if you want to do a verbal section a day, so you just practice answering your 20 questions, and then you do the quantitative section, which is 35 questions. Together, that's 65 minutes. It's a little over an hour, but it's pretty much an hour. If you can do that every single day, 5-6 days a week, for 4 to 8 weeks, you probably on good track. And it also depends on how much work you need from the practice test. So I would recommend studying from 4 to 8 weeks. If you can take the chance and do it in a couple weeks, 1 or 2 weeks, but it never also hurts to study longer. But I say 4 to 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks is usually what most people do. I think my prep class was about 6 weeks, and I took 2 weeks just studying by myself. So I took the GRE like 8 weeks from the day that I started like seriously studying. Said that study for 8 weeks. And another thing that helps, practice tests. If you're in a GRE prep course, that will make you take a lot of practice tests. But if you are doing self-learning, the only way you can know how well you are doing, how much progress you are making, is if you take practice tests. So after I took my GRE prep course, we took a test at the very beginning, we took a test in the middle of the course, and we took a test at the very end. So that was in a course of 6 weeks. And then after I finished my course, I had 2 weeks, pretty much like 2.5 weeks, honestly, of studying independently. So in between 2.5 weeks, I probably took like 3 practice tests. So I would study. I'm like, okay, how do I feel? Go about taking a practice test. And by doing that, I saw my score continually rise. So even after I completed the prep class, my score went up about like 2 points or so for each section. So I was pleased with that. You have to practice how you play. So when you take the real GRE, when you sit there and spend your $200, okay, and you walk into that computer room and you sit there and you type in your name and you begin that test, you should be familiar with the testing environment. So when you take those practice tests, close your door in your room, go to your local library and rent out a study room. Go rent out a study room in your library on campus. Do something in which you can mimic the testing environment, because you want to practice how you play. You want to make sure you have your time down. You're not concentrating on one problem where it's eating up your time. You want to be able to know your body, to know when do you feel fatigued by looking at the computer. When will you be hungry? You need to pee. Like, you have to practice how you play, okay? So you don't want to waste $200. So with all those things, you got to remember, take the practice test, see where you fall. Find the areas you need to work on and gather the right resources. So with the book, a prep class, the Magoosh app, vocabulary flashcards, motivate yourself. This is all about you and your future. So go about this seriously. Take the time out of your day to study. Talk to people. You never know who can help you. Study 4 to 8 weeks before taking the official GRE. You want to feel well prepared, well versed, you know what's going on. And then take as many practice tests as you can. You want to practice how you play, okay? And with all of that, I want to tell you guys, like I said, this test is just a test. It is just a hurdle you have to get over. This does not in any way, shape, manner, or form depicts who you are. You are smart, you are beautiful, you are amazing, you are determined, you are all of those. I promise you, if you put your best foot forward, you will be okay. All right? This will not be an indicative of how good of a PT you will be one day. It's just something we have to overcome, unfortunately. So this is how schools weed out people who are not prepared for PT school. So I want you guys to, take this seriously, take the initiative, go ahead and be about, your business, okay? So this is your questions that you may have. You can always ask me either in the comments, follow me on my social media platforms, anything. I'm here to help you guys. And with an encouraging story, it's for me. You guys, when I took the GRE twice. The first time I took the GRE, I had like a 296, 298, I can't really remember. And I had applied to like 4 PT schools. It was the first time that I applied. I was still in undergrad and I got rejected from all of them. And then I took my gap year. I took a prep class. I studied. I worked. I did all of that. After I left my prep class and taken my practice test and all of that, my score cumulatively was like a 307, a 308. I was close to a 310. So each practice test, I was like a 307, a 308, a 310. It was all in between that. So I felt great. I felt confident going into the GRE. A big problem for me was that I will focus too much on a problem. Not with the verbal, with writing, reading, you just learn how to figure out what words mean, use context clues, and you can get the answer. Learning prefixes and suffixes, you'll be okay. Trust me. You don't even have to really know the whole word. But the math, I'm slower at math. So with math, I'm not terrible at math. I can do math, however, it takes me a little longer. And I'm the type of person, I hate quitting. So if I get a problem, it's like, I know how to work it. Just give me time. And then before you know it, I wasted 4 minutes on a problem. And mind you, you have 35 minutes to get through 20 questions. So I had to learn how to not concentrate on a problem. Sometimes you just have to click through it. Just go through it. And if you have time at the end, you can go back and guess. It doesn't hurt to guess, honestly. Shoot, you might get it right. So, I felt very confident going into my test. I was like, I got this. I was taking a test. I felt like I was doing pretty well. And then it was a math section and I was taking a lot of time. Like my old habits start to kick in a little bit. Excuse me. So then I was like, nope, we just got to figure it out. We just gonna have to guess it through. And then once you submit your test, you get your raw score right then and there. So my raw score together was a 302. And for me, I was like, no, ma'am. Because I was like, I done did all this studying. I was getting 310s. I was like, I had a 310. I was hoping for like a 312, 315 on the actual thing. I was like, I was getting 310s. And when I like closed my computer down, got in my car, y'all, I was bawling. I was supposed to go out and get drinks with my friends. Like, yes, your girl is done. Because I finished my whole application up to that point. The only thing I needed to do was take my GRE and submit my scores. And I was just like, I'm not getting into PT school. I didn't work this hard. I done did all this work. I was like distraught because I had a personal goal. And anybody who knows me, my friends know, like, I am so like goal oriented, and if I have a goal in mind, I want to reach just that. Anything below that is failure to me. So I was just like, I'm going to still apply to these schools because, you know, I already done did the whole application process. And we just going to leave it up to God. We're going to see what he does. And so, you know, the story is history. I end up getting accepted into 3 schools. I'm obviously at PT school right now. So with that, I want to tell you guys this. It is just a test. And also, if you work hard, if you believe in God, trust me, God is going to take care of you. He will see your faith. He will see your due diligence. He will see how hard you are working. Like the most famous biblical quote that anybody knows. Faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead. For a good seconds, I doubted God. I said, God, you done put me through all of this. And I'm not even about to get into PT school. And he said, okay, girl, keep doubting me. Keep doubting me. But then I had to change my mind. I was just like, God saw how hard I was working. And I was like, he just can't do this to you, girl. Like, I literally was working my behind off my gap year. Like, I was working my butt off. I was interning. Then I ended up getting another job. I was tutoring. I was studying. I was writing all these essays. I was doing I worked my butt off during my gap year. And then God showed up for me. So with the GRE, my whole thing is if you make a 300 or above, go ahead and apply. Just go ahead and apply because you never know what will happen. Because I personally like to think because my GPA was pretty high, my GRE scores, you know, it kind of shifted the scale. So I was good. So even if you go back and watch my video about the PT cast, I tell you guys the formula that most schools use to select who will be interviewed and things like that. So they put into account your GPA and your GRE scores. So obviously, if you have a GRE score that's a little low and you have a high GPA, it go ahead and balance it out. If you have a low GPA, you need to get a really high GRE score, so go ahead and balance it out. But I just say go ahead and apply. Go ahead and apply because you never know what will happen, okay? God will see your hard work paying off and he will show you favor, okay? So you got this. I believe in you guys. I cannot wait to hear all of the acceptance letters. You got a couple people. One girl in particular told me that she applied to early decision and she already has an interview coming up. So I'm so excited. Like, stuff like this makes me very happy. I do want to apologize for the inconsistency in the schedule. I haven't even come up with a schedule when I'm going to upload videos because of school and things like that. And then also I want to make sure that I'm uploading videos that are going with the PT cycle right now. So I want to make sure that I'm kind of following you guys along your journey. So with all of that, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and follow me on all social networks. Go ahead and drop some comments, whatever you liked about this video, whatever you want me to expound more on, or any questions that you have, okay? I'm rooting for you guys. I believe in you guys. You are smart. You are intelligent. And I love you, okay? You got this. You're going to be the best PT in the world. I cannot wait to be your colleague one day. Alrighty. Bye.